The sound of crashing waves echoed as Richard Carter, sharp-suited real estate mogul, stirred awake. His head throbbed, and the sun's rays seared his face. Disoriented, he struggled to sit up, sand clinging to his once pristine white shirt. A shadow loomed over him. "Finally, you're awake," a familiar voice snapped. He looked up to see Emma, his ex-wife, standing there, hands on her hips. Her hair was disheveled, and her jeans were torn, but her piercing gaze was as unyielding as ever. "Emma, what are you doing here?" he croaked. "What am I doing here? That's rich coming from you." "I." A loud, guttural growl cut her off. They turned to see the dense forest behind them swaying ominously, as if something massive lurked within. The wind picked up, carrying with it the promise of an approaching storm. 2 days earlier, Richard had been aboard his private jet, heading to a secluded island to finalize a lucrative resort deal. Emma, on the other hand, was on her way to a humanitarian conference, or so she thought. Both now found themselves stranded, with no memory of how they got there. As they surveyed their surroundings, it became clear this was no ordinary island. Carvings on rocks hinted at previous inhabitants, while broken, rusted tools suggested a violent past. Richard's arrogance quickly surfaced. "Well, just wait for my team to find us. I'm sure they've already launched a search." "Your team? Newsflash, Richard, no one's coming. We're on our own." The bickering resumed, but their survival instincts soon took precedence. They needed food, water, and shelter, and fast. Days turned into weeks. The harsh weather tested their resolve. Torrential rains turned the ground to mud, and chilling winds whipped through their makeshift shelter. Yet, it was the island's eerie silence that unsettled them most. One evening, Emma stumbled upon a small wooden box buried in the sand. Inside were faded photographs and a diary. The entries spoke of another couple stranded decades ago, one's betrayal leading to the other's demise. The parallels sent chills down her spine. "We need to stay united, Richard," Emma said, handing him the diary. "United? You mean like when you walked out on our marriage?" He shot back, venom dripping from his words. Emma's patience snapped. "You think I wanted to leave? You were so consumed by your work, your ego, that you didn't even notice me fading away." Their heated exchange ended in an uneasy truce. But the cracks in their relationship were widening, and the island seemed to feed on it. Strange symbols began appearing near their camp. Once, they awoke to find their fire extinguished and footprints circling their shelter. The clues they uncovered hinted at a carefully orchestrated plan. One day, while exploring deeper into the forest, they found a cave. Inside, they discovered a set of maps and a radio both broken. The maps detailed the island's layout and had markings at various locations, including their current camp. "Someone's been watching us," Emma whispered. The next day, they ventured to one of the marked locations and found an abandoned cabin. Inside were journals and supplies, but also warnings scrawled on the walls. "Trust no one. Secrets destroy." "One night," Richard confessed, "I have secrets. Things I've done in my career that I'm not proud of. Deals that ruin lives." Emma stared at him. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because," he hesitated, "I think all of this might be my fault." Emma's mind reeled. Could his shady dealings have led to this? And if so, was he the only one to blame? A storm hit the island, the fiercest yet. As lightning illuminated the sky, Emma discovered a piece of wreckage with markings matching Richard's private jet. Inside, she found a note addressed to her. "Emma, forgive me for involving you. This was the only way to make him pay." Her heart sank. Someone had orchestrated their crash and she was part of the plan. "But whoa," Wench confronted Richard, his face pale. "It was Marcus," he admitted. Marcus was a disgruntled ex-business partner whom Richard had betrayed. "He must have targeted me." You were collateral damage." "Collateral damage?" Emma's voice cracked. "You dragged me into this mess." But before their argument could escalate, they spotted a boat on the horizon. Rescue was finally within reach. Back on the mainland, the truth came to light. Marcus had indeed orchestrated their ordeal, hoping to break Richard. But the experience had changed them both. Richard sold his real estate empire and dedicated his wealth to rebuilding communities he had once destroyed. Emma, inspired by her survival, launched a foundation to help others overcome trauma. Months later, Emma visited Richard at one of the community centers he funded. Children played in the background as Richard knelt to help plant a tree. He looked up, surprised to see her. "I didn't expect you," he said. "I needed to see for myself," Emma replied. "To see if this was real." Richard smiled. "It is. For the first time in a long while, I feel like I'm doing something that matters." Emma hesitated before stepping closer. "You've changed, and I'm proud of you." Their conversation was interrupted by a young boy tugging at Richard's sleeve. "Come on, Mr. Carter, you promised to play ball with us." Richard laughed and looked at Emma. "Stay for a while?" She nodded. "I'd like that." As they shared a moment of quiet understanding, the camera panned out to reveal a vibrant community thriving against all odds. The experience had not only reshaped their lives, but also left a lasting impact on others. The lingering question for the audience: if given a second chance, what would you change in your life?